There's a well-known maxim that when you give a person a fish to eat, so you fed him for that particular meal. But if you teach him how to fish, so you fed him for the rest of his life. By teaching a child learning skills, as opposed to just giving him rote translations of the words, you're giving him the tools with which he'll be able to learn for the rest of his life. In essence, what you're doing is opening up the entire Torah for him.
I think the method of L'shon Hatorah is a wonderful way to teach children how to learn Chumash and appreciate everything that the Torah says, and to understand the words and the structure of the words. I was very fortunate to have my younger son, Eliezer. He was in Rabbi Winder's class many, many years ago. And I'm so grateful to Rabbi Winder for that method, because right in the first grade already, when Eliezer was beginning to learn the structure of words, so Rabbi Winder would have different designs and different colors of the essence of the word, the shorish of the word, and then the prefix and the suffix. And it became so enjoyable that we as parents, my wife and I, we wanted to see the homework, because it was absolutely a new way of approaching the word. So that when Eliezer would be at the end of the first grade, he could almost pick up a word in a different sedra altogether that he had never looked at. But all he had to know was the root of the word, and then he understood with the prefix and the suffix how to be able to understand and make a laning, so to speak, on a word of Chumash and understand exactly what the pasuk was saying. See, in a day and age today when children are attracted by so many different things on different media, so you have to get the kids excited when you're learning Chumash, because they can get excited by a lot of other things that are going on in the outside world. So you need a Rebbe that's dynamic. You need a Rebbe that's into making the children excited about the pasuk. And learning in this way gives the child a certain incentive, a certain excitement, and how to figure out the word. And then when he sees it, it all comes together. It's wonderful.
There isn't anything else really comparable to be able to bring down to the level of the children, and giving the tools, the alphabet of understanding the diktuk, understanding the havana, with the prefixes, suffixes, or the shorashim, how they're interconnected, and that's what I feel that's really the most important. That brings the child who has no experience, no exposure to these things, gives them a very, very good background.
The old method generally was you memorize the word. You have it many times, you knew the words, you recognize the word. The current method, the L'shon Hatorah method, is that no memorization basically is needed. Once you have that skill, you could really analyze the word on your own and figure out what that word is saying.
The trick is to teach the kids that it's not so hard, that if they get the prefixes, if they get the suffixes, which is easy, we don't teach it in one day. We start in the beginning, slowly, one at a time. Rabbi Winder's method is to teach it in groups, and he calls it families. We start with the Chaf family and go on to the Mem and Nun family. And the kids learn it slowly, and every single kid, I believe, and not only I believe, in the 6 years that I've been teaching over here in Yeshiva Katan of Queens, there's not one kid that isn't able to pick up the basics of L'shon Hatorah. Because the boys feel that they know what's going on, that it's easy for them because they know the prefixes, the suffixes. So therefore each kid is excited to go ahead and to learn the Chumash and trying to figure out what the word means ahead of Rebbe, trying to say the pasuk of Chumash ahead of Rebbe, because they're able to figure it out by themselves instead of just listening to a lesson from me. Towards the middle of the year I start that the boys are able to say the pasuk of Chumash after I just put on the basic prefixes and suffixes. After I put the basic shroshim on the board, the kids are able to learn the Chumash and figure out the pasuk by themselves. As an educator, this is the key to my success of teaching Chumash, is having Rabbi Winder's L'shon Hatorah workbook.
I have one boy now in 2nd grade. I can open up the Chumash almost anywhere, and he'll start reading. Shavuos night, he wanted to stay up. 2nd grader. Now, not the whole night, but we went to yeshiva learning. I said, let's learn about Matan Torah. I said, you say. And he just went through it. Basically, the word he didn't know, I said, stop, look at the Shayush. Usually he did it on his own. And I just sat there with my mouth hanging open. I have an older boy, 4th grader also. But it's like, it's unbelievable how, and they feel confident about themselves that they can basically open up a chumash and start learning.
It's an incredible program. Ever since we've instituted it into our curriculum, we've seen dramatic results where kids could barely speak up in class. Now it's given to them in small amounts where they could grasp it easier, and we see a lot of smaller successes, and the smaller successes build bigger successes. It's terrific.
The child who's comfortable about his learning, the child who's able to make a laning and to learn a pasuk of Chumash by himself, my thinking would be that he would feel better about Yiddishkeit. If he's more knowledgeable about the learning and he's able to figure out psukim by himself, that comfort level, I think, would make him less at risk than maybe child number 2. So when you teach a child the basic blocks of Lashon Kodesh, I think you're really giving him a tool to strengthen and bolster his learning. And if you've done that, and he feels good about his learning, and he's able to learn, he's empowered to learn, then I think the chances are better that he'll stay within the learning and he'll stay within the Yiddishkeit, because they feel a sense of I can do. It's a very exciting approach. In addition, as a side benefit, I would wonder if it does not enhance the self-image of a child. Because ultimately a child keeps on thinking to himself, how much do I know and how well do I know it? And if a child is fluent in the language, if Lashon Kodesh is something that's a part of him, I think he has a better feeling about himself, and I think it can catapult him into much higher standards and much higher levels of learning, because he feels better about himself, he feels he can do it, his confidence is improved, and I think it enhances the learning.